Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about faith, family, and kids. Today we're going to be talking more about faith. I'm going to be going over the song Chainbreaker by Zach Williams, and every time I hear this song it makes me think about a story in the Bible where God literally made the chains of someone in a prison fall off. They broke. And I honestly don't know if that's why Zach Williams wrote this song, but that's what it makes me think about. So I wanted to go over that today. By the way, side note, this is our guest room. My husband and I do not squeeze into that bed. I am going to be reading from Acts 12, and I'm going to be using the King James Version. So starting in verse 1, Now about that time Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church, and he killed James the brother of John with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Peter and James were two disciples of Jesus when he was here on earth. This would be after Jesus had already gone back to heaven, and his disciples are left behind to kind of spread the word about why he came, why he died, why he rose again. Then were the days of unleavened bread. They had like certain feasts and festivals that they kept just out of tradition. That's just what it was referring to. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to four quaternions. Okay. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him. No, I do not know what a quaternion is. Intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. That's cool. It's almost Easter time now. Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing. Isn't that how God tells us to pray, is without ceasing? I love this. The church actually was doing this. Without ceasing of the church unto God for him. So they just kept praying for Peter. They're like, he's in church. We need to pray for him without ceasing. That means without stopping. And when Herod would have brought him forth the same night, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and the keepers before the door kept the prison. And behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him, and a light shined in the prison. And he smote Peter on the side, like smacked him up on the side, and raised him up, boom, saying, Arise up quickly, get your butt up. And his chains fell off from his hands. They fell off. And the angel said unto him, Gird thyself, and bind on thy sandals. And so he did. And he saith unto them, Cast thy garment about thee, and follow me. And he went out, and followed him, and wist not that it was true which was done by the angel, but thought he saw a vision. He thought he was dreaming. He's like, oh gosh, this is just a dream. When they were past the first and the second ward, they came into the iron gate that leadeth into the city, which opened to them of his own accord. So they're walking past all these guards and everything, and then they get to the gate that's an iron gate that's closed, locked, and it's just like opens up all on its own. And they went out and passed on through one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him. And when Peter was come to himself, because I'm sure he was like, what the crap, he said, Now I know of a surety that the Lord has sent his angel. So he's like, okay, I am not dreaming. This is actually legit, all right, and hath delivered me out of the hand of Herod and from all the expectation of the people of the Jews. And when he had considered the thing, he came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark, where many were gathered together praying. They were praying, they said they were. And as Peter knocked at the door of the gate, a damsel came to hearken named Rhoda. And when she knew Peter's voice, she opened not the gate for gladness, but ran in and told how Peter stood before the gate. So she heard Peter's voice and was like, oh my gosh, it's him. So without even opening it to let him in, she was so freaking excited that she just ran it back into everybody and was like, oh my gosh, Peter's here, what in the world? And they said unto her, thou art mad. So everyone praying, they're literally like, please, dear God, please help Peter. He is in prison, he needs help. Please, dear God, help him to get out of prison. Rhoda comes in. Y'all, Peter is literally at the gate, right now. I just heard him. And they're like, you're insane. You need to get checked right up here. But she constantly affirmed that it was even so. She's like, I'm not joking. It's true. It's serious. I'm serious. It's happening. And then said it is his angel. They're like, he must already be dead. That's just his angel. Just, visiting. okay. They're more likely to believe anyways. But Peter continued knocking. He's like, guys, like, I'm still out here. Yeah. Can I come in? And when they had opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. So isn't that how we usually pray though? Like we usually pray like not expecting God to like actually come at us and answer, what we want. And sometimes the answer is faster than we ever expected. Or better than we ever expected. Seems like God still blessed their prayers though. But he, beckoning unto them with the hand to hold their peace, he's like, y'all, calm down. Declared unto them how the Lord had brought him out of prison. So I'm sure they're all like freaking out, just totally coming at him. And he's like, yo, I need some space and y'all need to like be quiet so I can tell you what happened. How the Lord declared unto them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison. And he said, go show these things unto James and to the brethren. And he departed and went into another place. So he's like, I'm back to work. I'm going to go keep preaching and let everybody else know I'm good. They don't got to pray about this no more. Okay, so just a few chapters after. So Acts 16 actually talks about another instance where chains fall off in a prison. And so real quick, I did want to go over that one too. Just so y'all understand like where this story went, I'm going to start up at verse 16. And it came to pass, as we went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with the spirit of divination, I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry, met us, which brought her masters much gain by soothsaying. The same followed Paul and us, and cried, saying, these men are the servants of the Most High God, which show unto us the way of salvation. So basically, like, this woman was possessed, and she was owned by a couple dudes, and they were, like, somehow making money off of her. I don't know if it's because she was mocking them or what, but like they were somehow getting money off of her doing this, and she did this many days. But Paul, being grieved, he's like, okay, imagine someone following you around, making fun of you constantly for days when you're just trying to follow God. But Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And he came out the same hour. Basically, Paul turned around and said, spirit, get out of her. And when her masters saw that the hope of their gains was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers. So they're like, dude, we just lost our money because you took that demon out of her. This is some messed up crap right here. And brought them to the magistrates, saying, these men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city, the irony, and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans. And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes. By the way, figuring of clothes is a sign of distress back in that time. And commanded to beat them, who having received such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison and made their feet fast in the stocks. And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were open, and everyone's bands were loosened. And so like their chains fell off. Like everyone who was tied down, not just Paul and Silas here singing and praising God, everyone in the whole prison. And the keeper of the prison, awaking out of his sleep and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword and would have killed himself, supposing that the prisoners had been fled. So as a prison guard, if he lost all the prisoners, like even really just one prisoner, he would be put to death. And I'm not sure if they had a torture system or not, but he was apparently more afraid of being killed by someone else. So he was literally about to commit suicide. But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, do thyself no harm, for we are all here. This doesn't say that Paul could see him. So it's very possible that like either God like let Paul know to say something. Paul just assumed, like he's probably realizing that everyone's chains have been loosed. He may have just guessed like that's what he was going to do. I really don't know, but I think it's interesting that they don't say that he could see the prison guard. Then he called for a light and sprang in and came trembling and fell down before Paul and Silas. I guess the earthquake kind of put out the lights. I don't know who he got a light from, but it says that he basically like came before Paul and Silas and brought them out because they were apparently like still chilling in their cells, so there's no way they could have seen him, I guess, and said, sirs, what must I do to be saved? The impact that Paul and Silas had, not only by singing, pain. But just by staying, like, they didn't have to stay there. They could have seen it as like God giving them an opportunity to leave. Like, just like when Peter was in prison and he was like let out, chains broke off of him, all of that. Like, Paul and Silas could have taken that the same way, like, hey, we're free, we're good to go back to work for God. But they stayed there, which is like, only God could have told them to do that. Because of that, someone was saved. The prison guard was just blown away. And here's the crazy thing, the other prisoners stayed too. That was an act of God for all the chains to be off of everyone. Yet even people who had murdered and who had stolen and done horrible, awful things were in that prison. They stayed. They could have left, like, because if your door was open, your shackles were broken, how would you not jump up and run away? Especially if you were a person who actually did something bad and you were in there and you didn't want to be in there. Obviously no one wants to be in prison. It just goes to show how great of a God that we have. And the song Chainbreaker by Zach Williams is a song that I will belt out anytime I hear it. Chainbreaker is like the title of the song, it's the main thought, and so those two stories come to mind. But there's so many other amazing little pieces of that song that are really good too, and that I could probably talk about for a while, because if you get me on the topic of God, I could go for a hot minute. Thank y'all for listening today to me talk about Chainbreaker and the two stories that I think about every time I hear it. Comment down below and let me know what one of your favorite worship songs is. I have a playlist called Jesus, and I've just started building it up because I just got Apple Music back actually. I'll link it below, and y'all are more than welcome to listen to the songs that I listen to that are my Jesus songs and my worship songs. And yeah, so thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.